Welcome to E39 Source. We're going to be using these first few clips in a couple of different videos, just a heads up. We're working in a late 01, it's an October 2001, 2002 model year BMW E46 330xi. Depending on which video you clicked, you'll either be seeing the auxiliary, adding auxiliary to the CD business radio player in here, so we're going to take that out, radio CD player, or we're going to be replacing these two doors here in the center console. To remove these two doors, we're going to be replacing both of the things here. We're going to be reusing the actual ashtray and the lighter element, but this whole cubby is going to be replaced, and I'll provide the part numbers for those in just a minute. But we're going to need to get the radio out if we're doing the bottom one. This one here is just going to pop out. If you are willing to stick your hands in there and pull really hard, you may be able to get it without taking your radio out and pushing from behind. It's proving to be harder than we thought. So we're just going to pull the radio out and go from there. So to remove the radio, we need some sort of a pry tool. If you're super worried about your wood trim, don't do this. In fact, this probably isn't too wise. But we're just going to pry it under there, and it's going to come out like that and pull straight forwards, or it should, or that might be sandwiched within that one. So we're going to remove this one as well. If you put your pry tool under there far enough, you're not going to crack the trim. Actually, I'll just pull this off the rest of the way and show you that the wood trim in the E46 is very different than that in the E39 in the way, look at that. You would have to pry really hard to damage that. I know you guys were just cringing watching me do that because you're used to the E39, but this stuff is a lot more heavy duty. So with the two pieces of trim removed, we're going to find two Phillips head screws that are responsible for holding in the BMW business CD player. We're going to find our Phillips head, pull those out, and then the radio is just going to slide out. All right, go ahead and pull that out, Kenan. We'll see the connectors in the back. For adding the auxiliary, which we'll be doing in a separate video, but using the same clips. This connector here so we can take it off. Well, this one's super easy. You just pinch the end of it and pull it off right like that. This one over here is a little bit more complicated. I believe I've done this about 8 times, and every time I have to relearn. We're going to pull it up very hard. The idea is when you pull this on this side, see these channels here, it raises the connector up and off of the radio, so I just need to reseat that piece of plastic and it'll be good as new. We're going to need to remove this piece of wood or whatever trim you have that holds your window switches. So to do that, Ken, if you could push my clutch in, I'll show you how the shift knob comes off. Put it in third and you pull back to fourth and it comes out about like that. If yours is how it's supposed to be, you're just going to grab onto it and pull really hard. If you need to sit on your center console and spread eagle like that, go for it. If not, do what I just did and it'll probably come off. Then your shift boot is going to depress from either side like that, pull out like this, and lift up. I'm going to be replacing those parts as well, so we're not going to need to deal with that anymore. Now, that's going to show us two Phillips head screws, one in the bottom right, one in the bottom left. Believe it or not, that's the only thing that holds on this piece of wood trim and your window switches. So let's go ahead and remove those. With those two screws out, Kenan, why don't we just go ahead and lift up on this, just like that, and it comes off. Now, mind the wires for your window switches. If you want to figure out how to unplug those, probably not a bad idea. I think they just pull out. Yeah, they do. Just like that. There's a bit of a tab maybe on the far side you squeeze and they come out. So we'll set that piece out of the way. If you're just replacing this top little storage door right here, storage compartment, there's a bunch of different pieces that the E46 can have in here. Mine happens to have the ones with the little chrome things down at the bottom. This is the ashtray and lighter. The top one is a place to put a cell phone or a wallet or whatever, something like that. So we're going to pop out this bottom panel right here, which is the climate control. Just reach in the hole with the radio, where the radio was, and it'll pop like that. Don't even need to unplug it. We'll just hold it out of the way, then reach again back here and push, and it should pop out if we can get enough force on it. I'm going to need both hands. Here's this piece. It just pops right out. You got to press it pretty hard, but the part number for that is back here somewhere in my back seat. I think it's this box right here. 51168202-188. And at this point, if that's all you're replacing, you're just going to match that up and push it in. If you're replacing the bottom door as well, it's actually this entire bracket in here. So there's going to be 2 Phillips screws, one there, one here. Could actually be 2 more. There are. One up in here and one there. So a total of 4 Phillips screws, and then that whole piece is going to come loose. We are going to need a Torx bit to remove this center button panel in here with heated seat, DSC, Harman Kardon, whatever the heck that is. Some 3 Series owner, please tell me. And then the other heated seat. That's going to be held in this other piece with Torx screws. With the 4 Phillips removed, we'll just take it in there. It's going to come out from the bottom first. We're going to want to put the car down in lower gear if it's a manual like this and pull it out. So then we're going to notice that we do need to transplant a couple of parts over to the new one. Let's get you a part number on that. This bottom door and bracket is 51168268892. Looks like this. Really nice and clean in comparison to this dirty old crap here. So we're going to pull at that. That's going to be really easy. We do actually need to transfer the socket as well, so set that out of the way. Let's turn it over. More short wiring harnesses to deal with. We'll get to figure out how that comes out, but in the meantime, let's just remove that button panel with 2 Torx. I'll get a size on that in a minute. 2 T10 bolts will remove your button panel like that, and then it just pushes right out the back, so there's going to be no need to disconnect it and pull it out the front, which is nice. The power outlet here has 3 wires for it. One on the left pulls right off, one on the right pulls right off, and then this one also pulled right out. For future reference, the red, black, and yellow wires on the left, the brown's on the right when looking at it in that angle, and this one here with the black 2-pin connector plugs in right there. So the last thing we need to extract from this is the actual power socket. So I'll let you know how we figure out that works. In fact, it kind of just feels like it wants to be pushed. We'll let you know. Removing the power outlet from our old ashtray and radio bracket, I guess we're going to call this, isn't a whole lot of fun. Here's what you need: a hammer and 2 flathead screwdrivers. That tool right there fixes anything. Yeah. So from the front, you're going to notice that it slides in like this. So it's going to need to be pulled out of the front. In order to do that, though, there is this piece right here has to be pried outwards. Since this is the old one, I don't care about destroying it. I simply placed my flat blade right there, hammered it in, pushed it, and then pulled it from the front. And this piece right here is totally fine. On our new piece of trim, we're going to pop open the door, like so. Line this up however it was before, and give it a push. Plug your wires back in, then replace your Torx 10 screws that hold your button panel back in. Then we have the 4 screws we used before, and that piece will be done, nice and fresh. Finishing up the center console here, we're just going to bolt everything back in, screw everything back in. I didn't replace the actual ashtray, I won't be using it, but I wanted these doors and these plastic pieces to be fresh, and it looks 1,000,000% better. You can finish up this job by then just reinstalling your piece of trim here, whatever that may be, being sure to plug back in your window switches, replace those screws, your shift boot, maybe your shift knob or automatic knob, whatever you're going to be putting on there, as well as sliding your radio back in, making those connections, reinstalling the 2 Phillips screws, and then your wood trim. So now you've got 2 nice and clean fresh doors that, at least in this car, made a nice difference. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in a future DIY.